Hey, that was nice. That
That's
was
you.
nice. Yes. Welcome
We're so
everybody
professional.
to another episode of Tackle and Tacos, a fishing podcast. This is episode 85. Big 85. We got ourselves an awesome guest. BPT Pro, somebody we've been trying to set up conversations with for a while. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this is gonna be dope for sure. And it's awesome. Like sometimes life like points you in a direction where it's just supposed to work out. You know what I'm saying? So like with our guest, Mr. Ryan Salzman, who I'm so excited to bring on in just a sec. A lot of times with guests, getting them lined up is absolutely like pulling teeth and then
Yeah.
some. And it's not that like get everybody we've talked to has been cool. Like everyone.
No,
But
no doubt.
sometimes it's like, oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that, or last minute, they're like, oh, I can't do it or whatever. And so not only did he agree to jump on and do this podcast, but then he asked to like bump it up a little bit in time. And normally for our lives, that wouldn't work, but tonight it worked perfectly. So it's like
Yeah,
this
for sure.
must, you know what I'm saying? This must be like a thing, like it's supposed to happen or something. So
Yep.
real quick before we bring the man on and just ask him questions about life, fishing, what's coming up in 25, all the goods. Don't forget on socials. It's just at Tackle and Tacos, and it's not an ampersand. It's actually the word. And our website is tackleandtacos.com. And we're still run that little like Black Friday sale. Now it's like a whatever sale, just letting it rip until we are out of everything, because come spring, we're redoing our website, redoing our whole merch lineup, and all that stuff. So jump on tackleandtacos.com. Sure, has stuff off. Stickers and all the sticker sheets are below cost. So that's kind of a rad little deal. And yeah, I'm stoked to have a podcast in 2025. It makes me feel, Nate, like we've been doing this a long time, even though we haven't really, but like we started it in 2023. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like right at the Bassmaster Classic of 23, because we were watching it, if you remember that, in my
I do. Yeah.
garage, the one that Gussie won, in our garage as we were recording the first few episodes. And I don't know if I want to say that we're like super proficient or efficient or good at this yet, but like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
a little bit better at it.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to jinx it either, but I want to say that our last few episodes have been pretty well gremlin free. You know,
Yeah, you
they've
should not have said
started
that.
up.
Yeah, you should
You're
not.
probably right, but
You
they've
probably should not
started
have said
up
that.
well. They flowed well, and
Yeah,
we haven't had too many hiccups. So hopefully 2025 is more of the same. You've been doing
absolutely.
a fantastic job killing it. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. It's super fun. So
Heck yeah.
as we're recording this, so this is launching in 25, but we're actually recording it on Christmas Eve, and the Packers are about to play, about to play the Saints, which should be a full blown grown man ass whooping. I mean, if things go
We,
right, this should be.
we
Yeah,
gotta
it
hope.
should be like a
You know?
it should be a booty whooping for sure.
Yeah.
No diss to the Saints, they're just hurt, and you know it shouldn't really. And they're from Nolans, playing in Green Bay in the cold. It's supposed to snow.
Right.
And then also between when we record this and when it launches, we will have celebrated the birth of our Lord. It was such a dorky, funny, Christian-y way to say that.
Uh,
But let's just hypothesize. Nate, did you get some good stuff for Christmas?
I'm going to have to guess and say absolutely. I always get treated quite well.
Yeah.
For Christmas, my kiddos and the wife, they always hook me up very very well, more than I asked for, because I always say I don't need anything. My joy and happiness definitely comes from giving rather than
Okay.
receiving. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I know I'll be stoked for anything I receive,
Heck yeah. That's
whatever it
dope.
may be. I think I got
Whatever
an
it is.
idea, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing came in the mail while we were like wrapping presents and stuff, and I'm so pumped to try it. It's it's fish line braid from Temu, and it's hot pink, because like the hot pink on like
Okay.
the finesse setup is super dope. You know, we're like running it
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
FG or the whatever, into the fluoro, and it's cheap. It was like $7 for like 600 yards, like 10 pound or 12 pound braid. So it might be trash, but it might be dope. And so I'll definitely
Agree.
sort of like report on that, you know, come like June when Wisconsin thaws out. But
Right.
yeah, so all right, man. Well, let's bring the dude in. You already kind of talked about it a little bit. This is a Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour, not just angler, but a dude who actually won a stop on the BPT. Like that's crazy to
Yes.
make it to the big
Yep.
leagues. You know what I'm saying? That's incredible. That's dope. That's a victory legitimately. That's not a participation trophy. That's a victory for sure in itself. And then he went and won him a 6-figure paycheck fishing. That's crazy.
Yes.
Like, there's not too many folks on this earth
amazing.
who can say, like, yeah, I won $100,000 on a bass tournament. Like, that's wild. I've won just south of that amount in bass tournaments. If you took all my tournaments that I've won and multiplied them by like 1,000, then I'd still be like halfway there. Yeah. So pretty amazing. Dude is a professional bass guide, and I want to talk to him about some of the stuff he's been posting on social regarding some nonsense there. Not nonsense on him, not from other me's. I want to talk to him about his 2025 plans. Dude's a stick, military. There's literally nothing to not like about this dude. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to bring onto the show Mr. Ryan Salzman. Hey. What the What the heck is that?
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my Lord, that was not what I expected. So if you're listening to this, if you're not watching this, he has like a little teeny baby hand that he like waved at the camera, but you can't tell it's not his hand.
Yeah,
that was
good. That was about perfect.
Hey, my strong hand.
No, first, Jordan,
strong hand.
I'm going to tell you right now, don't ever be ashamed to pronounce your fave, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Don't think it's a baby way to say it. Just be proud to say it. Say it confidently.
Absolutely.
All right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just don't ever, especially being in the public eye, just be very confident.
Oh, for sure. It was more like the way that I said it felt so like felt really like robotic and
own it, baby. Own it.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Well, thank you for jumping on the show, brother. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to get into a whole bunch of stuff, but let's if we can, brother, can we tackle something at hand right now? And that is, I didn't know this was a thing, right? Like, it's so weird to me. Human beings, we have this way of, no matter where we're placed, either doing really well or coming up with ways in that space to like just be a dirtbag. Like human beings don't really tend to do like middle road. It's either like full blown, like go out there and kill it, be a man of integrity, stand up, all that, or it's like just slump. Like, you know, like when COVID happened and people were like scamming people with like COVID, like, good God, that's the grossest thing ever. Would you take 2 minutes, man, and tell us about this interaction you had with a fella as a bass guide who's like trying to like leech spots off of you and stuff?
You know, it happens more than you think, and I'm really good at filtering this stuff out.
That was going to be one of my questions too. Is like, how often does something like that happen?
What the heck?
Yeah, it happens more than you think. You get people around tournament time when clubs come in. You know, guys are real cheap, and you know, if people are willing to cheat and actually cheat in a tournament, this is like nothing compared to that. So
I guess,
but I don't even think this is for a tournament, and I don't know really fully understand like what happened. Their excuse was, I changed my rate. If me telling you the different hour options is changing my rate, like a 4 hour costs this, a 6 hour costs this. If you want an 8 hour, it costs this.
Yeah, that
then you get mad after I tell you the price. After we had the conversation, I mean, something's fishy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the only reason this guy kind of got information out of me is because I had him as a co-angler in a BFL.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, you feel like there's some familiarity there, and you think you could halfway trust the person.
Sure.
I mean, he was just very leading with his statements, and he even made a comment like, "Well, Randy Howe posted they were doing this, this, and this. Are they just sitting on the outside of the river channel and schooling up?" You know. And then I'd already told them what lures we were going to throw, and so I had pretty much told them exactly what the fish were doing. Whether he comes down here and fishes or not, I could care less. At the end of the day, I was excited to make a little extra money for Christmas.
Sure, yeah.
Because he called me yesterday, was supposed to take him fishing today, and then bailed, you know, at 8 o'clock last night or whatever the time was. But no big deal. I mean, I was pretty livid because the way he put it, like everything was great when we hung up the phone. He texted me back 5 minutes after we hung up. Sorry, you know, you saw the picture on the internet. Sorry, we won't be there. So I call him back. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's going on? He was like, just got a bad feeling about it. Like, what do you mean? Like, can I answer any questions? You know, whatever. And he was like, what do you mean? He was like, I don't want to say it's you, but it's you. And I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
And my friends sit next to me, and they were like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? And I was about to go off. I said, you know what? Have a Merry Christmas. And I just hung the phone.
Gosh, that's so frustrating.
That's why I'm I'm like, I'm sick of this happening. Like, people need to put on
garbage. Absolutely.
Yeah, even with making the post, you still took the high road on that. I mean, I don't know if I could have held back personally. That's
For
that's just
sure.
crazy.
I've just dealt with
Yeah.
a lot. This is pretty low on the totem pole
Right.
as far as things I've dealt with, but I'm just
Yeah.
tired of people thinking they can do it. I haven't used my
Yeah.
platform for anything like that ever, really, to blast someone that's done me wrong like that. But
Yeah.
it was time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the
well
thing about the
deserved
way
for
you
sure.
did it that was different too is you kind of like sort of like shepherd status. Like you were telling the other people, like, yo, beware of this dude. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just like this guy's a jerk. It was like, hey, if you're in the business, like watch out because this dude's, you know,
Yeah, I
he's
just
running a
the whole
scam.
point of the post was to like really draw light to like this stuff happens.
Yep,
guys,
for sure.
You know.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
the
that's
people
wild, man.
guiding can either, the guys who have guided a long time, you need to respect because they have put up with a lot of crap. And
For
because
sure.
if they're not tough, they ain't gonna keep guiding after a few
Yeah.
years because
Yeah.
it
Right.
can be hard. I promise.
I bet, man.
Yeah,
Did he say
that's
anything bad after this? Like after you
No.
put it
So
on social?
after all that, I just blocked him immediately. A couple of his family members got in there and went back and forth, and they kept saying I changed the price, which is absolutely not true. I mean, all my
Yeah,
prices
it's
are
dumb.
listed on the internet. What's the change?
Gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not trying
right.
to swindle anybody. I don't have
Yeah.
to.
Golly, yeah, that's just frustrating, man. Especially like you said, you're trying to put some money in your pocket for Christmas, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's just
you just get excited. You book a last minute trip,
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's the thing
dope.
is like how many guides are going to have like last minute availability and just
right?
have something they
And,
can set up that fast and
yeah,
Yeah.
right before
God,
Christmas.
yeah,
Yeah, that's bogus. Well, let's go backwards if you're okay with it, because on our little podcast, we like to talk to a lot of pro fishermen and whoever lure makers, but we don't always want to, even though it's really cool. We don't always want to get into like, hey, what's your size of hook for a drop shot versus do you change your trebles on a crank? But all that stuff's cool. But we more so we want to know about the people we're talking to, get their background. And I know on your website, which is alabamabassguide.com, if you're on YouTube right now, we got the little ticker scrolling on the bottom. Is that your right Instagram too? Alabama Bass Guide _ meme lord.
So I just switched. I took the meme lord away just recently, and it's just
Snap.
AL Bass Guide. I had meme lord on there for golly, probably 5 or 6 years, and it just kind of switching to more of a professional image at this point. And people still know me from the beginning. They still call me meme lord, and I still post the memes.
I was gonna say you haven't eased up on the memes at all,
No.
so it's
Yeah,
still
we have
No,
what
I still post the
40,000
memes.
followers. Yeah, you've been killing it. So people are used to the memes, right?
Oh yeah, they like my memes.
They like my memes.
They like my memes.
That should be a shirt, dude.
That's how you know. That's how you know if someone's been through some trauma. They're funny.
Yeah,
No doubt. Yeah, it's
We
either
can all
laugh
relate
at
on
it
what
or
we've
let
all
it
been
break
through.
you.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So now is it right on there? AL Bass Guide.
Yep, AL Bass Guide. That's
Okay,
it. Yeah,
word.
and it's just more brandable, especially going here
No doubt.
forward. I could sell some merch with that or do whatever. But
For sure. So anyway, so your story is on your website, alabamabassguide.com. That's also where if you're looking to book a good fishing trip down south, this is the dude to get a hold of, and you can do it on there. But walk us through a little bit if you would. Go as long as you want, as short as you want, as detailed, not detailed, however. But how did you get into fishing, the outdoors, and on your website, I think you do a great job actually, but of walking people through little dude fishing, professional bass fisherman guy. Walk us through some of that.
I'll try to keep it really concise. I got hooked on bass fishing when I was little, probably about 11. I'll just say 10 to 11 years old, somewhere in there. I was like, I want to fish for bass. But before that, my uncles took me fishing when I was little. My parents didn't fish. And, I was just nightcrawler fisherman, bobbers. I wanted to catch whatever I could. And I was just kind of obsessed with just getting a bite, right? I just loved getting that bite. And I'll never forget, I used to go to these ponds and I would take corn and thread it on my hook. And I would throw it out there and catch catfish and carp. And I would just have a ball. I wouldn't care. I'm just tugging. You're a kid catching fish, you're having a ball. And, one day I had a gob of night crawlers on an army base. My parents are military. I mean, a gob. Like I had a bobber, like the bobber. I mean, I had one of the big suckers on there. And I'm winding in. There's probably the leader's probably only this long. And I'm winding in and the night crawler's just kind of doing that corkscrew.
Yeah.
About 5-6 feet from the bank, a giant bass just eats the ball of night crawlers. And this is in North Carolina. And I don't know what pound line I had, just a little spin cast reel from Walmart. And it's at a playground. My dad had ran to the store in the corner to grab a Gatorade. That's back when you could still do that and leave your kid somewhere.
Right.
So while he was gone, I hooked this fish, and I get a crowd of parents and kids watching me fight this bass. It's still one of the biggest bass I think I've ever hooked.
Wow.
They have a certain look, their head
Oh yeah.
is so
It's
big, and
different.
I'll never forget its eyeballs were popping out of its head.
Yeah.
Yep.
That,
Yep.
that,
That's
It
how
was
you
just
know.
one of those, 9 to 10 pounders. And then I got him up to the bank, and then my line broke. But it was that
No.
moment that was the catalyst that really
That
got me
was
hooked
it.
on bass fishing.
Yeah.
So my like I said, my parents didn't fish, so at that point we didn't have this fast internet. We had dial up, and I would get after school. I would get on bassfishingresource.com, and I would read every kind of piece of information that I could about
That's
different
awesome.
lures, techniques, blah blah blah. Fast forward, I moved to Alabama in high school. Got here as a sophomore. Still fished as a pond angler, this and that, and just I would be ordering stuff from Bass Pro. Like I remember getting, I don't think they sell this anymore. It's like a cardboard cylinder like this, and it was just like a tube of jigs. Had
Oh
like
yeah.
100
Yeah.
jigs in it.
Yep.
yeah.
I got
They
that
had those.
thing,
They had
and
the
I was
tubes of
testing all
worms. They had
kinds
all
of
those.
trailers,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget. It was getting dark one night at the pond by my house, and I had tried a jig for the first time, got a bite, and it was like a 4 or 5 pounder. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Dude, you
So
got the honey holes.
what's that?
I said you got the honey holes. You had the 9 or 10 when you were little. Then you had a 4 or 5 pounder when you were a little bit older. Man, you had the spots.
I mean, I guess just in right place, right time.
Yeah.
I didn't choose. It was just what was available to me.
Yeah,
this was a
amazing.
neighborhood pond that
Yeah.
kind of one of the homeowners kind of managed, and he let me fish there.
That's sweet.
But I just kind of became obsessed with learning what worked and when it worked. And I didn't fish lakes. Like, all these kids in high school like have the opportunity to come up fishing on boats. And I think it was great for me. It really made me appreciate what I have now. But long story short, got to college. I had a percussion scholarship to the University of North Alabama. I played the drums.
Wow. Oh, sweet.
And I actually have my drumsticks right back here. I think the ones I played with in college. This is my old drum pad. Put in a lot
That's
of work.
dope.
These
Yeah.
are my drumsticks. Oh, I've never
Heck
done
yeah.
this live.
Let's get it a little bit. Yeah.
Heck
I used to
yeah,
do that
dude.
every day.
Little triplets on the pad. Heck
all day
yeah.
and all night.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of terrible, but nope, from the outside looking in, it probably seems all right. But anyway, so I did that for like 3 years in college. But I always wanted to. When I was 11, I saw fishing professionally on TV, and I wanted to fish professionally my whole entire life. Like even like going through all that, even being a drummer, I'm like, how can I be a pro fisherman? My original thought, well, I was going to be a music instructor and then fish in the summers. I get my summers off.
That's cool.
And then I kind of got burnt out, and I was like, damn, I only make like 35K. So I was like, probably not good.
Yeah.
And I was running out of money for college. I decided to join the military, which I said I'd never do. The main reason I wanted to finish paying for my college. And at the same time, it was like, in life, you'll notice doors close and doors open.
Yep.
And the door closing was the music, and the door opening was the military and fishing. So when I joined the military, I met a guy named Nick Cups who just moved to the area from Louisiana, and he knew about college fishing. He had a bass boat, and he was like, let's start a fishing team. I'm like, I'm all in. Like, I want to do that. So I was his co-angler, and me and him we propped the team up at the University of North Alabama. They've now had 2 national championships, school of the year.
Wow.
I mean, it's really cool to have started that team, and I'm still friends. Yeah. Like, I still go back and mentor a lot of kids. I speak at the school. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, those kids, as an aside, those kids, there's probably 5 or 6 next superstars on that team.
Wow.
Yeah, they would be pretty good to have on your show. We'll get you lined up. But
yeah, that'd be awesome.
So do that. My first tournament ever off a bass boat as a co-angler, I won in the UNA qualifier.
Wow, that's sweet.
It was pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Just on a shaky head on Wheeler Lake. And then kind of you get to a point you're like, I can't fish out of the back of the boat. Like, these people suck. I'm fishing behind. You're like, I want to make the decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I fished BFLs that year. My first BFL as a co-angler. I finished 3rd on Pickwick. Wow. There's a cool story about that. You can watch on the Ike Live show. I talk about jerkbait I found. But yeah, I just had a lot of success. I've always been really successful when fishing, but it's because of all the time I put into it. I guess I just started fishing tournaments, but I fished my whole life and researched all the techniques and this and that. So ended up graduating, coming about to graduate college. and I was like, I really don't know what I want to major in, and I had to finish my last little bit, and I had a lot of classes in business and this and that, and I was like, I'm just going to do marketing, and get that marketing degree for fishing. Kind of made sense. While finishing my last year, I got invited to help with a guide trip on Pickwick. I went as a college student on the guide trip, and 4 hours I made $400, and the light bulb pretty much went off right there for me. Yeah, I was like, this is how I can get time on the water and make money. And because time on the water to me equals becoming a pro. If enough time on the water, with the right attitude and the right focus, you can become a pro.
Yeah.
So that's what's really started. I started out actually as Salzy's guide service, and then marketing brain kicked in. I did a lot of research into SEO, which is search engine optimization, which you guys are probably looking into now as a podcast. If you're not, you should look into it. It's going to get you a lot more organic views.
Yep.
And so I settled on, and this is ironically the same time the Alabama Bass Trail launched. I settled on Alabama Bass Guide, Alabama Bass Trail.
Snap. Yeah.
So when you look for you're popping up. If anyone types in Alabama bass fishing or Alabama bass fishing guide, you're going to be number one in the search bar.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So kind of started out my guide career there, and man, first year BFL, there's a lot of firsts, right? First BFL I fished when I came home. So I had a deployment for like a year and a half in the military. Wow. And when I came home, my first BFL, I finished third. I had like 4 fish for 23 pounds.
Jeez.
I know. My co-angler got like a 6 and a 5 behind me.
Good Lord.
My co-angler and I, team tournament, we had like 32. But yeah, I just found a good stretch and kind of milked it. But
yeah, I guess. Jeez, that's awesome.
But but then you kind of go forward, and then I was really good during the winter when the A-rig first came out. Because main reason I actually worked for Andy Poss, and if you don't know who Andy Poss is, he's the inventor of the Alabama rig.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived at Andy Poss's house immediately after graduating, and I was a wire bender. Yep. I can't tell you how many thousands of wires I bent. It was all worth it. I got to learn how to throw swim baits from the dude himself. Yeah. Which I was already good at throwing swim baits because I've always had a knack for it. Just because it's a really feel bait, there's no contact. And my first time throwing a swim bait in the tournament was the Wilson. It was like, I think they called it the national championship. It was the Southern Collegiate Bass Fishing Championship. It was the biggest tournament trail at the time. It was on Wilson Lake. And me and Jacob Feltman and Andrew Bacon and Rob Young won it. It was like a little team thing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, won it throwing a swim bait too. But yeah, man, A-rig kind of went away. In the next few years, I struggled a little bit. And I always had, on guide trips, I do great. But come tournament, it's like your mentality shifts. And I was having trouble putting limits in the boat for whatever reason. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, it shouldn't be an issue. But you learn it's a mental thing. You're worried about a limit instead of the next bite. You know what I mean? So you just need to focus on catching the next fish instead of worrying about the end.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good advice for anybody watching. But yeah, everything started coming together. And so it really only took me, 2015, I won my first BFL. So 2 years. So yeah, the second year fishing BFLs, I won my first BFL. That's when I come out with True Bass swim baits, and won it on my 4.5 and R2D2 and 99 problems. And I think I had like 32 and chains, like maybe just under 33 pounds. And that was like right when the eelgrass got into Guntersville.
Okay.
And I had it dialed. Like, I could go catch 5-pounders.
Apparently.
Yeah, right. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. It's no bullshit. I probably got 40 or 55-pounders that day.
Good Lord.
It was stupid. Back in the day,
what?
When the eelgrass first got there, no one really knew about it, but I was pretty good with side scan, and I was finding little isolated clumps of eelgrass. And if you found an isolated clump, I mean, there was nothing else around, and there was hundreds of bass in that little clump.
Wow.
It was just stupid. It was a lot of fun.
Jeez.
How old were you?
2015. I'm 36 now. It's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
26.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a big win on Guntersville at 26.
At 26, that's bananas. On your own baits that you made yourself?
Yeah. It was cool.
There's all kind of levels there as to why that's awesome.
We could do a whole podcast on starting True Bass, but that's a really cool story. But so moving on, and then then kind of And I was guiding like every day, and I really didn't worry about BFLs that year. And something just told me to get in that BFL because I mean I was like I can just catch them how I want when I want. Got on it and won it, and then I think the next year I decided to fish all of them. I fished some regionals. I made a top 10 at the St. John's, the BFL regionals. I was sitting pretty to make the All-American. I was in like 4th or 3rd, and we had a cold front come through in Florida, and I zeroed. And it was a big lesson because I was catching them on top and some moving baits. And when you get a cold front in Florida, you need to put the brakes on.
Sure, yeah.
And fish slow. But yeah, so did that. Then the next year, I think I might have won another BFL. Yeah, I won one in the summer on Gunnersville. I think I had 25 and change it was a ledge event July 9th.
Okay.
And then I don't know, just I decided the following year after that, which I think ends up being, what did I qualify? 2019? 2018 I qualified. So yeah, 2017 I won on Wheeler, won a BFL on Wheeler. I had like 25 pounds of smallmouth, and then I had one largemouth. And then that next year, I decided to fish the Toyotas because I'm a big believer, and I'm stressing, like I'm pointing out, I won because I didn't want to waste a lot of time at the semi-pro level and waste a lot of money. For anybody watching that wants to become a pro, it might look cool, and say you fish these tournaments for a lot of money. You're just hurting your pocketbook because until you're ready, you can get the same experience. Just fish a lot of BFLs. Just fish a lot of BFLs or the ABAs.
Yeah.
And until you start winning those, you're not ready, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah.
You might think you are. You might be ready to go cash some checks, but you're not ready to go compete at the top level. So so when you're starting to win consistently at the local, then you're ready. I mean, not winning on one lake, kind of multiple lakes.
Yeah, sure.
So my first year, I went and fished the Toyotas. I qualified for the FLW Tour. So my theory about at least myself proved right. I think I finished 7th or 8th in the points that year, and then that top 10 was qualifying for the FLW Tour. Went and fished the FLW Tour first year on the FLW Tour. I think I finished 31st in points. Had a couple of not good tournaments, like
how
70
many
or
were
80
in it back
finishes.
then? How many were in the FLW at that point? Do you remember?
Almost 200.
I'd say it was huge back then. That's back when it was really big.
It was like
so
at least 180.
Yeah, 31st is pretty freaking respectable.
Yeah, but I don't really worry. If you get a check, that's great. I mean, but other than getting a check, you want to make the third day. And it was funny, 31st, they took the top 30 that year. So I was the first person out on my first ever FLW tournament. I was the first person out of the cut. It just lights a fire under you,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And then the next year, my sophomore year, had the typical sophomore slump. Now that doesn't happen to everybody, but it damn sure happened to me. But it was a spiritual thing with me. Was going through a lot of personal stuff at the home life. I ended up getting a divorce that year. I was on the fritz of one, and I didn't catch a check all year.
Wow.
All year until last tournament. It's on Lake Erie, and I'm like on them. Like I'm not even kidding. I found them at the mouth of the Detroit River, and I'm catching them. And I make that run over there. Wind's blowing like crazy that morning, like 20-something miles an hour. There's 7-8 footers. I'm not exaggerating. Oof. It took me scary. 2.5 hours to get there. There was guys that ran to St. Clair, and they had an hour to fish, but those guys all had like 24 pounds in an hour up there. First day, day one of that tournament, I jumped off like, I don't know how many biggins. I ended up weighing 18 pounds, but I should have had 24, 25. I was just frustrated. I'm like, oh my, like I'm still sitting good for a check, but I mean, like after the year I had, if I could have had those, I would have been in 2nd or 3rd. I did the math. Right. I mean, when you hook them, they're jumping eye level and they're just coming off. And the thing is, I was inexperienced fighting smallmouth, and I was pulling too hard. When you hook a smallmouth at first, you don't need to pull hard because you're pulling, you're helping them come up.
Yeah.
When you hook a smallmouth, get the hook in and just settle. Just take some pressure off and keep the rod loaded, and that's going to keep them down. Sometimes they're going to come up, but a lot of times they're just going to settle, and then they're going to fight a little bit. The hook might dig a little better, but I had a lot more success. Like, so day 2, that's what I did.
Okay.
And luckily I landed my bites because I only had 4.
Wow.
Conditions changed, and they just weren't biting. They were there. I could see them on my forward facing. And that was back when Lowrance had like just the Panoptic version of the sonar. But, it was looking like I had 2 fish and I had 10 minutes to go. And I'm like, you can imagine, like, I've worked my whole life to get to where I'm at.
Yep.
And I can feel the world. Like, if I don't cash a check in this one, I'm not fishing pro next year. 100%. I'm going to be broke as a joke, and I'm going to have to reset. And I had 2 rock piles I hadn't hit yet. And I'm like, let's go hit them. So I pull up, first cast, have a bite, pulls off. Like, it just cleaned my bait off. And I had a bunch of drop shot. Hook another drop shot bait, throw back out there, hook it. It's like a 3. I might have only had 1 fish at this point, 1 or 2. Anyways.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm talking like I'm not going to catch check after having a really solid day 1. Throw back out there. I think I catch a short. And then I'm like, okay, they quit biting. Because you'd pull up, it was like little isolated deals. You get a bite or 2, and it was like you running brush, but they're little rock piles.
Yep.
I run to the next one. Same thing. Throw out there, cleans my bait. They were just biting weird, not getting the whole hook. Get another bait, throw back out there, hook it, and I'm like, oh God, that's a big one. And I just ease, I'm like, dude, I got minutes, and the wind is up. Like, I'm just gonna take me an hour and a half to get back, so I'm pushing it.
Yeah, gosh.
I have probably 5 minutes at this point, and I get that fish close to the boat, and it just keeps digging. Now, there's current there too.
Oof.
And man, I have a mild panic attack fighting that fish. And I'm like, you know what? I can't control this. God, you take it. I can't do this. And as soon as I said that fish come right up and went in the net. I got goosebumps telling the story.
Wow, that's cool.
Put it in the box.
Yeah.
And then I hit one more spot on the way back, and I ended up having a limit, and then ended up cashing a check.
Wow.
Which that really slingshotted me into the next year with that attitude.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
Well, surrendering to God is the theory, or is the attitude that I took on. Like, I'm not control. I'm going to go out and I'm going to fish my absolute best and let the results take care of themselves. I'm not going to try and control this or force this anymore.
Yeah.
And then the next year, I finished 3rd in the Angler of the Year and qualified for the Bass Pro Tour.
Wow. Jeez. That's pretty cool, man.
Finishing
and
3rd
that's awesome.
to Michael Neal and Justin Lucas.
Never
which
heard
was
of
the year of COVID. So if
Never
those
heard of them yet.
Yeah.
right, if those guys didn't,
they didn't even need to fish it. Yeah.
So if those guys didn't fish, I would have won Angler of the Year.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, that's right. I do remember that. That's wild, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just cool to know that that's in you. But there's another God story there. So trusting God and all that. I come down with this crazy illness that year with my thyroid. I didn't know what it was at the time.
Oh wow.
But I'm talking like my motor skills were a little off. Believe it or not, my eyes were going a little crossed. Sleeping 15, 16 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
And coming out of the military, I got this crazy allergy called alpha gal. Anybody that's watching, alpha gal is where you're allergic to red meat and mammal products.
Oh man.
So it radically changed my diet.
Crazy.
And because it changed my diet, I wasn't getting a lot of B12.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was 100% anemic, which is why I was having the neurological symptoms with the cross-eyed and motor skill issues. And then on top of that, my thyroid, I became hypothyroid. I have a Hashimoto's. So the year I finished 3rd in the Angler of the Year, my best year on tour was the year that I was pretty much disabled.
Wow.
And I couldn't carry my weigh-in bags to the weigh-in half the time.
Shut up. Holy
people would
cow.
help me. So if that doesn't show the power of God, I don't know what does.
Yeah, jeez.
That's wild.
I know.
That's awesome. I mean, that's like one of those really difficult, but in retrospect, awesome moments. And even I want to touch on something you said a minute ago, the idea of like, I'm going to go out, fish my best, fish my hardest, and then, let the chips fall where they may, kind of let God control the whole deal. That's a whole lot easier to say than it is to actually like walk out. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always had this thing that I call head, heart, feet, which is like, you get an idea in your head, you have to really like absorb it, get it in your heart. And then you got to have the balls to get it in your feet, walk it out, like actually live it. And so I'm just wondering, was that an easy thing for you to actually walk that theory out, or was it hard, but you just pushed through and kept on letting go of the crap you couldn't control, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So if you're having trouble with it, you haven't surrendered. It's really, honestly, once you do it, it's easy. That's the best I'll tell you. If you're fighting it, if it's difficult for you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you surrender, like you're fine.
Yeah. But there's no halfway surrender.
There's no halfway. So once you do it, it's fine. And now there's times in your life where you'll backpedal and you'll be like, okay, I see myself trying to control things again. And, or sometimes God's steering you another way and you're fighting it. And we'll get into that a little later. But, long story short, I go through all that. I get on medication. Takes about a month or so, straightens me out. But dude, there were 3 tournaments where I made top 10s or just outside the top 10 where I didn't practice or had one day of practice because I was in the ER for heart arrhythmias and thinking I was going to die. I mean, I couldn't lift my arms. Like I was that exhausted. Like
how do you go cast all day?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Until you have to lean on God for every cast.
Wow. Dude.
Like you don't know what and I'm not exaggerating. Potomac River, I was in the ER. I caught one bass in practice, 6-pounder, and it was on a jig on a dock pole. And the rest of the time I was in the hospital. And then come tournament time, I said, guess I'm fishing dock poles. And I was so tired. Luckily, I was pitching, not casting.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Just one pitch at a time. One pitch, and I just started taking my thyroid medicine. So by day 2, I started feeling enough better to make it through the tournament. But I'm still tired as hell. I mean, just think after your hardest workout, like the next day, if you didn't eat, how weak you would feel.
Sure. Yeah.
That was me 24/7. And I went on. I think I finished 11th or 12th. I just barely missed the top 10 cut in that one, and had I think like 2 6-pounders in the event, which I think I might have won big bass or something. And then go on to the St. Lawrence River, and because I did well there, I went up pre-practice and finished strong for that year. And then go on next year, I'm like, oh man, God, if I can do this, this sick, I can't wait till I get healthy. I'm gonna kick everybody's ass.
Absolutely, heck yeah, dude. Yeah.
But guess what? That's where God, that's where God showed him that showed me what he's capable of. Because once I was healthy, he was like, all right, let's step back. And, he puts it more on you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
But it still taught me to rely on him. That first year on tour, I was learning the ropes, on the Bass Pro Tour. And, at the end of the day, that's not normal tournament fishing. It's this crazy game that we have invented for TV. And it's a lot of fun to watch, but it's not.
Big adjustment.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. As far as trying to compete at that level.
Yeah.
I was really good at the grinders because it's just getting bites. I'm good at that. You know what I mean? But if we're having to catch a lot of numbers like Smith Lake, I missed the cut by one place that first year so many times. I'll never forget. So first event I zeroed. I caught one bass, which kept me in it for heavy hitters that next year. That one bass, made me heavy hitters, like a 4-pounder. It was that Darbone. And then the next one was at Lake Fork. I would have made the top 10 there, but we canceled it early. That second day, I think I finished like 12th or 13th.
Okay.
This is when I learned how cutthroat these boys are.
Sure.
No shade at Alton, but look, everybody's doing this on that tour with the score tracker. I'm just saying what happened. I like Alton Jones Jr. He ended up winning the event. I was catching all my fish where he won. And when he dove in the water to get that fish out of the tree with a spinnerbait, I don't know if you guys remember what I'm talking about.
I've seen the clip, yeah.
Yep,
he said she's naked and he's like 50-degree water. I ran by him right before that happened and went to the back of the creek. Thing about score tracker, and maybe he was on those fish back there, I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, I fished the whole tournament back there and never saw him other than out in the middle. I go back there and light it up. And so I'm like backing off of him, managing him. Like I don't need him anymore because the weight's going to zero. I don't need to catch anymore. So we go to the knockout round that final day. Like I was on him up for it. I go back there to start that morning and they let us trailer because of weather and all this other crap. He's back there sitting on it. And then Pochet's back there too, which I never saw his butt. And then Greg Vinson, the only person that was back there was Greg Vinson. And he couldn't get back there either because of all the people. I just call him poacher, whatever you want to call him. They beat you to the starting spot because it just happens. I can't tell you how many times it happens.
What's your style with that, Ryan? Are you a confrontational guy or you let them have it? Like
I just left.
Yeah. Okay.
What am I going to do? Yelling at him ain't going to do nothing.
Nah, but a lot of people do. A lot of people do though. They think that if I go,
I will stand my ground. Like if I'm there and someone's coming in on me, I ain't going to leave. You know what I mean? But I'm not doing nothing shady.
Okay. I follow you.
And so if I'm doing what I'm doing and you're trying to come in on me and I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
So
And that's the thing too, is like had you rolled in there and got all vocal and mad at him, then he's got a camera rolling. You look like the bad guy
I
coming
look
in
like the
there.
bad guy.
Yeah.
Exactly, even though
100%.
you've been fishing all tournament. Yeah. Wow.
But I had a
It's
lot of fish. Like I let him have it. I didn't know it would be the winning hole. You don't ever. I know it was good,
yeah.
but it was getting colder. We had that freezing. Like all the fish pulled out to that little ditch. And I was catching them on square bill. So, what did he catch
Okay.
them on? Square bill. That's what he won with.
Yep.
So I was really freaking pissed. I'm like,
Absolutely.
I was like
Yeah.
mad, and I never really told that story on any podcast. So good for y'all. But it showed me what these guys are capable of. So then we go on to Smith Lake. I missed the cut by 1, and that's all. I just can't tell you how many missed it by an ounce. They got to be pound 8. I can't tell you how many pound 7s I caught there.
Of course, yeah.
And then
that sucks.
I know it. And then the next one, where did we go? I think the next one was Watts Bar, and then the next one I won.
And that was the one you won at, yeah, Watts Bar.
Right.
Man, okay, so walk us through a little bit. Like we know you won it and all that, but like, what was the feeling like? Because like I said on your little intro piece, it's one thing to be called up to the MLB if you're a lifelong pitcher and you're fighting in the minor leagues, working your way through college, whatever. It's another thing to pitch a perfect game or whatever. You know what I'm saying? To be in the biggest league and win on that stage. What did that feel like, man?
Like a dream come true. Also like I deserved it. Like I told Jordan Lee, it was like 2 terms before this happened. I was like, I'm just ready to win. I'm so sick of this. I'm ready to win. And he's like, man, you just started, blah, blah. I'm like, says the person who won 2 classics.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Started.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm ready to win. And then I won. But once you win one, you want to win another one. And like now here's where it kind of screwed me. And this was just my novice on that tour. What screwed me for Red Crest that next year, I went into where's that place in New York we go to where all the cheating
Is that Cayuga or
Cayuga? Yeah, we went to Cayuga that year, and they were offshore pretty good. And I found a pipe where they were loaded, and so did everybody else. It was kind of community hole. Edwin Evers had a better boat number and beat me to it, and I'm not. I'm like, I just won. I'm kind of rookie. I don't want to bully my way around.
Yeah.
I think I own the water. I pull up my, hey, Edwin, you care if I fish? He's like, oh, I got here first. I'd rather if you're not. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm running to this other spot, which was
dang.
There wasn't nothing there. And as soon as I left, 2 other boats sat on that spot with him and didn't give a shit what he said.
Dang.
Mike McClellan was one of them. Someone else. I mean, they all lit the score tracker up.
Is that when he put the beat down on him with the flap slap? Was that tournament?
No. That was the classic, I think.
Oh, that made us the classic. I knew it was like a big derby where he pulled up in kind of a spot like that.
That's what I think of that. but this would be letting someone tell me I can't fish somewhere that's an offshore community hole cost me Red Crest, because the next day I had like 20 something pounds. I just junk fish shallow, which my best 5 I think went like 21 that day.
Yeah,
I mean I only caught like 6 fish maybe, and the next day I had like 45, 50 pounds or something. That's because I was there first the next day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
does it change your mentality, Ryan? I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm thinking through like that format with somebody being like, no, you can't fish here. Does that change your mentality when, like you said, you can go fish shallow, junk fish, catch as many just over the cut line or the minimum weight is possible? Does that change, like where you're not fishing for 5, you're fishing for like 1 million fish? Do you know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I wouldn't even been on that spot if it was a 5-fish tournament. I would have went and did what I did day 1 because the bitter fish were on docks under shade.
Okay.
Like when I got bit there, they were studs.
Yeah.
I mean, but I didn't get a ton of bites. But on a 5-fish tournament, I would have done that all day. I wouldn't even blinked.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't say it very well, but I figured you knew what I meant on your strategy.
100%. Yeah. But my attitude did change on how, like, it turns you into a killer. Like, you have to be out there not to make friends.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like I'm a friend. Like I'm like a golden retriever. I want to be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just not how the sport works at that level. Yeah. I mean, the guys, they're going to be nice and be like, yeah, ha, 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 ha. I can't tell you how many people has cut me off. That same dang tournament, there's a guy right on the bubble of the cut. I'm on that place, just catching him. He sees me. He drives by. I got a bite. I let him drive by. I hook up. He looks back, sees me hooked up. Comes sits right next to me. And I know I'm not going to make it at that point anyway, so I just leave. And I went to one of my docks, and I actually caught like a 4-pounder to end it. But yeah, that stuff happens to me a lot.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it's a fine line we walk with sharing water with people, but at the end of the
Indeed.
day, if you find the fish and you think you found them on your own without poaching somebody, you have every right to be there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember one time Nate and I got cut off in a derby. We thought we were about to come to blows with these cats. We were working down a bank and they cut us off in front of the banks. Then we went around them. And they tried to go back around us. And we're like, dude, we're gonna have a problem here. And you don't really want that to happen, but it's exactly right. If you're on the hole first and you found them on your own, and somebody tries to roll right up on top of you, and that was on the freaking Mississippi River. There's so much water to fish, but it gets frustrating because you don't want to lose your integrity, lose your mind, turn into the crazy guy. But you also, Martin Luther King said a man can only walk on your back if it's bent. You know what I'm saying? You got to stand up for yourself. You can't be a wuss, but it's hard.
There's a lot of people in this industry that are pros that have made a living in practice, looking around, seeing where the community holes are and getting in the way.
That's lame.
So,
That's
yeah,
a shame.
so it is what it is. So yeah, that being said, I missed I was the first person out of red crest that year. Next year we switched to 5 fish. I was in hog heaven.
Yeah,
I was so
right.
excited.
Yeah.
And had a really good year. I made red crest, and that which qualified me. That was this year's red crest and heavy hitters again. And this year I went on to win heavy hitters. Well, I won day 1 heavy hitters, which ended up being the big bass of the whole event, which was a 9.3.
You.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, there was actually some drama around that fish too. Brent Ayler was fishing that same area, you probably realized. But if you watched that show, you saw how many locals were in there. And I had found that spot, and I'm driving. Like, I tried to not go there. I was like, I'm going to go run mussel beds in the morning, see if I can get that going. And I was catching shorts, and heavy hitters, it's a 2-pound minimum instead of a 1.5 pounds. So I was like, I got to go in there and just sort it out. And when I fish in a crowd, I'm like, what's up? Like, let's have fun and catch them. Like, that's just my attitude, because I try to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a positive attitude. I don't care. I'm running, and here's the whole crowd. There's like a flotilla. My fingers are all the dots, and then there's like a gap, and then there's some boats out here. And that gap was one of my waypoints. So I just went, sat down on one of my waypoints. Power pulled down, threw a cast. It was like a 5, and I hook him. Comes off at the boat, and I stand back up, throw another cast, had a bite, and at this moment, there's like 3 minutes left. I reel in, throw another cast, lock up. It's like 2 minutes, 30 seconds left when I hooked it. I remember him saying, and ended up being that 9.3. He was like, "You got 2 minutes left." I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I'm pulling harder than I really want to on this fish.
Yeah, sure.
And she actually, I love it when grass gets around some of these fish's faces. I don't try to pull them out of it. I let them get in a little bit, and I just kind of pull them, because when it gets around their eyes, they don't fight as hard.
No, they're like blinders. They're like horse blinders.
Yes. So that's kind of what happened at the boat. And then she come in, open her mouth. I got my hand on her, and I had like 30 seconds left, and I landed.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Dang, you got some good stories, dude. Some very, like I said, some like this was supposed to happen. Like the way it shook out was how it was supposed to shake out.
Yeah, man. It was a lot of fun, at heavy hitters. And, one of the most, for me, just surreal moments. I get goosebumps thinking about it. I grew up watching Kevin Van Dam, probably like you guys.
Of course.
He's the GOAT. And I got to compete with Kevin in several, circumstances.
How cool is that?
And it turns out me and Kevin are sharing water on this one. Me and Kevin we're the only people to find this patch of grass. But I was in Group A and he was in Group B. And then when it came to the knockout round, turns out, okay, me and him were sharing that spot. And none of the other competitors had found it. That's why I was doing so good, because I'd go catch a few and I'd let it rest. And then Kevin was freaking throttling them on my off day. And I'm like, why is it getting harder to catch them?
Yeah.
That's why. So we show up and he's sharing it too and did really good on it. And then turns out I lost one at the back of my hand again. I was catching them on chatterbait. It was 6-7 pounder. Same spot where Kevin won the $100,000 that final day.
Gosh,
I know. If I hadn't, it was just meant to be. Just wasn't meant to be for me.
Yeah,
it was meant to be for him. That's how he's going to finish his story. But if I had landed that fish, I would have been on that spot too, and maybe I caught. I don't know. But it just wasn't meant to be. And that's when I locked up. Once that happens, I lost that one at my hand. I'm like, I can't do this. There's too many people. These fish are getting hard to bite. It was flat calm. I'm like, I got to go throw a frog. Because on my day 2, when I had enough to make it, I was like way up there. I think I was in second or something. I said, I'm going to go practice because I saw a ton of cheese on the mat. And I'm Gunnersville. I'm like, I'm going to go. I want a frog. And I go up there and I'm running around. How I frog fish, I'll run in the middle of the net, sit down, cast, listen, cast, crank up, run into another one. Can't cast, and just keep repeating. I landed on a spot. Turns out that's where Brandon Coulter and Jordan Lee were all catching them. But dude, I'm gonna tell you, this mat was at least a half mile long, or maybe longer.
Sure.
Half mile by half mile. That's what I'll give it.
Yeah.
And lady, my dog's going crazy. Lady. And I ran up there and I knew it was going to be issues because they were already starting drama on Facebook and shit. And I told them that morning, I said, I may have to run up there if I need to. I don't want to get in your way, but if I may need a fish. I run up there, instantly catch a fish. And then I'm like in and then I'm out. Then no one's catching them. And I'm getting a bite like every other cast. Just won't connect.
Oh, shit.
And long story, I caught 2 just unders that were like 115s or whatever. And lost one. Another one that would have made it, but it just wasn't meant to be for me to make that final day at the heavy hitters this year.
Man, that's a mature thing to say. I mean, I could say that, but it'd be hard for me to feel that. Let me ask you, Salzy, let me ask you a real like human question if I can. Obviously you've earned where you are in fishing, and like you said, time on the water, and you know, you've paid your dues. You're not just some random dude out there fishing. But when you get to the ramp with Jordan Lee, Kevin Van Dam, Michael Neal, these boys who know how to operate a boat and cast a lure, is there anything in you that's like intimidated, or are you just like balls out, let's get them?
Not at all. You can't give a shit about nobody else, and that's one thing I've been really good at is my mental side of fishing. It is why I am where I am.
Okay.
Because in this sport, to win, you have to have a certain mentality. You're not worried about nothing else but you and what you're doing. Because that's what winners do.
Yeah, people always talk about that winner mentality for sure.
You're not worried about what you're doing. But I don't give a shit what KVD's doing, Jacob Wheeler's doing. And when you are thinking like that, you're usually not catching them.
Yeah,
or you're not
exactly
winning.
right.
You know, you're
that's
in a
exactly
defeated
right.
mentality.
Yeah.
You know, I was just happy to be there. Like I'm just excited to be fishing. Like this is my dream. I'm living it. Every morning I would wake up and I would just look around and be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Dang it, that's awesome.
Yeah, and you're running down the lake. And you're running down. You look over, you know, your KVD, your skeet, and you're running with them. And you just get goosebumps running down the lake. And you're like, all right, let's go catch them.
Yeah, so that's a good way to look at it. You're like you're honored, humbled, excited, but you're not intimidated. You're not like,
at all,
they're better than me. Like you're in the
you wouldn't be there.
You can appreciate it, but not be scared of it.
You wouldn't be there if you were.
Yeah, that's a good little clip right there, dude. That's a great quote for sure, man. We have a local pro right around here. His name's Pat Schlopper. He's on the elites and cool dude. He's kind of like the boogeyman of the Northwoods, and he fishes a ton of tournaments here, even when he's not fishing the elites. And I have a couple homies who like will go fish clubs that he was in. They're like, oh, what if Pat shows up? I'm like, all right, well, then I'm gonna beat his ass too. Whatever. You got to have that sort of
so at the same
mindset,
time,
like I'm gonna go after him.
I don't go into it like I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean like literally, of course.
No, I know that, but because that goes back to the mentality of I'm gonna go I don't have any. It's open expectations, fish the moment.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Guys that talk or like really think I'm gonna beat your ass. That's not a good mentality either.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying I say that.
No, I know that.
I'm just in my head. I'm very much like, fine, he can fish too. Whatever. It's not like
But those guys that are like, I'm gonna drop 20 on you, or I'm gonna drop.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I'm like, just 20, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, might need 25.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so
yeah,
I like one of the things that like Ike always says, like when you're meant to win, you win. Like when it's supposed to happen, it happens. Mm-hmm. And I think he's spot on with that. And I don't think it really matters what field you're in or when it's supposed to happen, it comes together.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's funny you say that. Ike's the guy I kind of understudied. I didn't have a mentor growing up. I read Ike's book, Fishing on the Edge, and
yep.
I was just I just watch Ike, and because I loved his fish the moment attitude, and that's really what I've carried over with me. And his the way he looks at it, fish the moment, and then KVD's, it's all about the attitude. Like
absolutely.
You combine kind of those two, and then you get me.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's a good combination to have.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I just want to give it the full that it's worth. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that.
So that gets us to this year.
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's exactly what we're about to ask. Is you've kind of given us the rundown of the last 3-4 years or so. What's 2025 look like for you? What are your next plans moving forward?
yeah, so that I'll talk about Red Crest for a second this year, and that'll kind of get me to where I'm at now.
Okay.
Red Crest this year, I don't know if you followed it at all, but I did really well. Ended up leading. I won the qualifying round.
Yeah.
My first qualifying round win, which was awesome. And then I actually ended up. It's ironic. It's God uses symbolism. It's so cool when you look back on it. And I won the qualifying round at heavy hitters. Both of those were two events that I qualified for from the prior year in 5 fish. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
This year, I cut one check and it was at Toledo Bend scoping. I had a lot of fun, but I also lost a lot of fish. Should have made top 10. Probably would have had a chance to win it because I was fishing around Becker, and they were just loaded. Becker and Spencer were around them too. I lost like a 9-10 pounder at the boat there.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
But it just that was my year this year when I would tell you stories that just don't make sense, but it goes back to when God wants you to change, your path, some weird stuff's going to start happening to you. And I almost left this year when they went back to every fish counts. I was very close. I just couldn't pull the trigger. I was like, I'm just not sure.
Yeah, sure.
And I already had my sponsorships locked in. I was like, I'll just give it another year. And then come to Red Crest, when I had some people day one, I had Ron Nelson come up at the dam. Excuse me. Day one, when I had Ron Nelson come up the dam, he was up there in practice. I'll give him that. And he was rooming with a guy who fishes the dam. So I'm sure he knew about it. But guess what? He didn't make the decision to start there. Right?
Okay, sure.
And so this is where I have a problem with Jordan. Jordan, they all have the argument there too. But at heavy hitters, they started there, whatever. But it happened to me too. But no one gave me like a big hoo-ha or that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And this is at Red Crest. Dude doesn't have anything at 1 o'clock. Looks at score tracker, sees Ryan has like 38 pounds. He knows where I'm at. What does he do? Runs his ass up there.
Man.
What does he do? Catch him, of course. And so at the end of the day, I ended up winning the qualifying round there at Red Crest. The final day, I zigged when I should zag, and he ended up getting on a spot, and he never got off of it and blocked me out. I thought I had enough fish to make it to where I didn't need that spot, and I was wrong because Dustin Connell also came up there and got in my way.
Wow.
Dude, I'm telling you, and Dustin fishes up there all the time. I don't got a problem with Dustin. He knows what he's doing, but he also was a defensive play. He didn't want me up there because he knew if he got in the way and caught enough fish, I wouldn't be able to catch enough to make it. And then that he wouldn't have to worry about wrongs, because then there's not really enough. They can't handle that many boats for every fish counts format.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just really left a bad taste in my mouth. And I wasn't too happy with the coverage at that event, especially leading. They were pulling my camera. I only got just a little bit of airtime. And it just felt, the Red Crest to me felt very anticlimactic. I at the end of the day, I think heavy hitters is more fun than Red Crest for me personally. And I was leading after 2 days, and I just didn't feel very special to me. And that's a personal opinion. There's other guys that may feel differently, but to me, it didn't feel very special. And it just pissed me off. And so here's the flip side of it. 5 fish tournament, doesn't matter. Anybody cut me off, I would have won. In a 3-day, say that was a 3-day classic.
Totally different. Yep.
Yeah.
And it just opened my eye. I'm like, how many championship events do you want to make where you're going to be on biggins? And it's not going to matter.
Dang. Wow. That's a statement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? And I thought about it all year, and it just ate at me. And the more I thought about it, the more I hated catching every fish counts. But I still would go, I'm like, all right, I don't care that I'm going to go catch and fish my hardest because I want to make money. You know what I mean? I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
But all year I lost fish, and it just was like, that guy was like, no. Have phenomenal practices. Dale Hollow. Each day I lost over 20 bass. No bullshit. Was fishing the area where Wheeler won.
Wow.
Where he won. Just wasn't meant to be. I mean, God was like, no, not gonna, no.
Yep.
And even my boat officials were like, dude, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. This is weird. I'm like, just welcome to my year. You're gonna see.
Yeah. Yeah. But you kind of knew though, right? You knew in the back of your head. You heard it.
That's exactly what I
know. I know why, but it doesn't make it any easier. Like, I know why.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, I know even like the last event, St. Lawrence River. I'm like, I'm just gonna go have fun, hopefully make some money. I caught a lot of bass, but all the ones I really needed got off. And at the end of the day, I was like, this ain't for me no more.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that's a lot, a lot of like what you've said kind of as we've gone through this podcast is, those things that were meant to be. Had you caught a lot of those fish, you probably would have stuck
I'd be
around,
fishing again.
like exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
100%.
yeah, all meant to be. That's crazy.
100%. So that being said, I made the decision I was like, I think first or second outside the cut to get invited back. A lot of guys left. I got invited back. I declined my invitation to go back to the Bass Pro Tour, and I'm fishing the Bassmaster Opens next year.
Dang.
And I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you should be.
It's funny. I started out this journey. I wanted to fish the elites. I grew up watching the elites.
Yep.
But I also wanted to fish with Kevin Van Dam. I feel like I really checked the boxes of everything I wanted to do over there. I'm so thankful to have won a major event of every fish counts.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say that, and let alone that was to beat out Jacob Wheeler, and I ended up winning by 8 ounces.
Wow.
It was an awesome victory, and I can't wait to do it again, but in the 5-fish stage.
Heck yeah.
Want to win a classic. I want to win an AOI over there, but I'd really want to go to the classic. I really want to win a classic.
Dang, dude, that's so exciting, man. I respect. This is gonna sound real weird what I'm about to say, but I respect your balls because it's really easy, I think, on the outside looking in for people to be like, well, yeah, if he likes 5 fish, he should go do it. But people don't understand all the business, the other people in your life, the people in your corner, the sponsors, the total. I mean, and I think the 5 fish to the every fish counts world, it's like if you had a basketball and one hoop was at 11 feet and one was at 10, you're using the same ball, but the sport is totally different now. The way that you approach it's different, the strategy is different, and you're shifting everything. And you're shifting everything against, I mean, them open boys are some assassins. Like there's some absolute hammers out there.
I don't give a shit.
I'm just saying for you, like there's a lot of shifting here, and I think it's awesome that you have the balls to actually do it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a points. I don't care if I win. I would. If you win, I go straight to the classic. But you just got to catch them.
Yeah,
and that's what the cream always rises to the top. And I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go catch them. It might be a year, 2 years, 3. Who knows? I'm just ready to have fun again. Put the fun back in fishing for me, and I've already had a lot of fun. After I stepped away from that, it was like an element was taken off my shoulders, and yeah, but yeah, I've put a lot of focus on forward facing because another thing I hate, to get on this topic for just a second.
Sure.
I love what the NPFL did by just banning it. It's either one thing or another. Yeah. This whole splitting it up in tournaments, the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour is already convoluted enough with its rules.
That's what we said too.
Oh God, yes.
Now that you have this other, dude, the practice is already hard enough catching it. Now you want, so I'm sick. I'm an all-in kind of guy. Yep. I don't want to be half in, half out.
No doubt.
So in practice, now you're going to have to figure out a forward facing bite because you're going to have to, because there's going to be a window where you're going to catch 20, 30 bass using it. And you got to do that if you want to win, because these other guys are going to figure it out.
Yep.
And then you also have to figure out the shallow bite. Well, guess what? I'm sick of that. I'm tired. I want to have fun. That's not fun to me, And then also the pro circuit. One, you get to use it 2 days, and one day you can't. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's a weird one. And you're right. It's already complicated. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, why wouldn't you can use it this tournament, you can't the next tournament?
That's what I said. I said the exact same thing. Yeah, if you want to do blended for each stop. One is one is the next. Not all the back and forth. Not only is it harder on the fisherman, but it's confusing as hell for the viewer, for the fan. It's really confusing.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you're seeing in the pro circuit, the same kids that win with forward facing are going to still win because they can catch them shallow too. But guess what? They're going to catch them really good day one on scoping. They'll have just enough on day two to get them what they need. Then they'll go scope the last day and hammer them. They're still going to win.
Yeah.
Same result's going to happen, I promise you.
Yeah. That's a good point. Absolutely.
Yeah, probably exactly right.
Yeah. I know, because that's what I would do. Yeah. Because I've gotten good enough of a scope to go do that. And I'm good shallow. I've done that my whole life. I don't need any help doing that. But I can get on them shallow.
Yeah. Wow. Who's on your team, Ryan? Like who helps you make these decisions? I assume you're praying about it. You seem like a guy who would reflect on some stuff, but who helps you make these choices to do such a big jump?
Man. I'm single as a Pringle.
Yeah.
Me, God, and my dog Jake over here.
Well, I mean, like mom, dad, close friends, anybody you bounce this stuff off of, just you and God.
At the end of the day, it's my decision. Like,
Yeah.
no, man. I mean, I've started out with a lot of friends in this industry, and the longer you fish as a pro, my circle's real small.
Yeah.
I got like 3 good friends,
Hmm.
and they don't care what I fish. They're gonna be they're ride or die. They don't care.
That's
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
They just want me to be happy.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
sweet.
you listen to I listen to my gut. I don't.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always been a gut instinctual guy, and
Yeah. Are you the same way on the water as far as like when you got to make that choice, the spot shutting down? Are you a follow your gut guy?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah, guys, I hate even telling this story. People get mad at me. They don't like me anyway, so I'll tell it. That's the tale of 2 brothers. And I'm gonna say Matt doesn't use his instincts, but Matt Lee and Jordan Lee.
Mhm.
Jordan Lee's won a couple classics. Matt's been very successful. Don't
Yeah,
get me
yeah.
wrong. I mean, he's made the classic. He's almost won a classic, and he finished 3rd or 4th. But I think at the end of the day, if you can tap into your instincts and fish more free, you'll find success more often than trying to plan your stops out.
Wow.
So it's like, I'm going to go here. I'm going to check this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And Matt, he's very organized. He's very I roomed with Matt my first year, so I got to know Matt Lee. And he's very structured. He's dressed right dress. Everything's in order. He's got everything is so organized. It's phenomenal. And my boat's not. Jordan Lee's boat is not.
Yeah.
But we tear shit up. But I found that the anglers that kind of just trust their gut and their instincts and make those calls, they just find themselves in a position to win more often. And I hadn't lit this world on fire. I've won 1. I've had some high finishes, but that can change in an instant,
Yeah. Wow. God dang it, dude. This whole podcast, Nate, I feel like we're listening to like a professor or something. And then you're not meaning to, but you're dropping so many little knowledge, just gems, like these jewels, like these statements that make me think like, dang it, he's right, And yeah, I appreciate you coming on, dude, for sure. So let's give you for a couple more minutes. I won't let you go because I know it's it's Christmas time. You got mom coming over and all that fun stuff for sure. And that is legitimately, that's way more important than talking about fishing with a couple of dopes like us. And before we forget to say it, dude, nothing but the best of luck next year on the Opens. You got a couple people in your corner who are rooting for you right here. We're gonna be cheering for you and watching you and really wishing
every
the best for you,
way.
man. Yeah, absolutely. So, real quick, hard left. Are you a fan of eating tacos, Mr. Salzman?
I love tacos.
Attaboy. Yeah. So this podcast is called Tackling Tacos because for the longest time, myself and my wife, Lola, and then Nate, we were going to start a tackle shop that sold tacos as well.
Oh, cool.
And then when we, because it's like, who doesn't like both of those things? And then when we were about to start a podcast, we were struggling with names. Like, I think one was going to be called, what were we calling it? Figure Out Fishing was going to be one of the podcast names. And I don't know. And it's just, they all felt not authentic. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that dope hat you're wearing right now. Not everybody would wear that hat with the hang loose and the dope pattern. And it was like, that's not really us. Figure out. And then we came up like, dude, let's just call it what we were going to call that tackle shop. So we actually like to talk to people about tacos. You got any good local spots down there in Alabama that you go to?
Oh yeah, Taco Mamas.
Taco Mamas, that's a name, dude.
Yeah, Taco Mamas is a chain down. They're really, really good.
I'm writing this down so the next time I'm down there, I can check it out.
Check out
Taco Mamas. They have really good margaritas too.
Okay. That's dope. What's your favorite taco, dude? What's your go-to?
Man, I'm an easy peasy guy. Just get some chicken and cheese and put some sour cream and tomato on there and rock out. Soft shell.
Okay. Soft shell. Yeah, same, soft dude. I'll eat a hard shell, but no, I agree with you for sure.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So is it soft shell flour or soft shell corn? Or does it matter?
Doesn't matter. Just make it soft. Okay.
Make it soft. I'm gonna eat it. That's dope, dude, for sure. Well, give us one thing before we let you go, dude. What's something about you that people probably wouldn't know or wouldn't expect?
That's a really good question. That I would love to have my own TV show one day.
Okay.
Like actual fishing show.
Yeah.
I love the production side of fishing. I don't know if anyone's ever watched me on camera.
For sure.
I tend to be pretty entertaining, people say. And I feel like I am where I'm supposed to be when I'm fishing in front of that camera. So
makes sense.
I don't know when that'll happen or where it'll happen, but this next year I'm going to focus more on the YouTube stuff. I keep saying that, but that's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to post a video a week in 2025.
I was just gonna say, like, with your personality on screen, like I've watched your YouTube stuff for a long time. Like,
Same.
yeah, going way back, you and the podcast with
the Bite podcast.
the Bite
Yeah,
podcast
wrong
with Sarah Parsons and all, everything like that. It's all so entertaining. So yeah, I need some more content for sure.
Man, yeah, I appreciate it. It's hard to, when you're fishing at the top level and you don't have a camera guy. A lot of these guys that are doing the content, they have editors, they have camera guys, they give it to them, they piece it up, they post it for them.
Yep.
But it's a grind when you're fishing professionally, guiding, running a tackle company, and you're trying to make content. Good Lord. And at the same time, I do want to start a family at some point.
Yeah.
So it's a juggle, right?
It is. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what's up. Yeah, it's funny. Like it's like a standard operating procedure now. Like these pros, like with Polinick and Vandiver, or like these dudes who have either camera guys or like whole production teams. Like it's full blown, and you are smart enough to see the benefits of it. It's just a matter of it is a grind, and fishing is a grind, and running a tackle company is a grind. It's like how much can you actually put out?
Yeah, I mean, your brain's like a flashlight. Wherever you focus, you have your attention, right? So you can only. If you chase 2 or 3 rabbits, you catch none. You chase 1 rabbit, you catch 1.
Yeah, that's good.
So, it's learning how to chase 1 rabbit at a time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I heard a rapper one time. His name's Propaganda. He's this dude from California, and he said multitasking is a myth. All it means is you're doing a bunch of stuff not well. And I was like, dang, I feel like that's kind of accurate, because sometimes you do have to multitask. This is the real world. But when your whole life is split off into a whole bunch of different lanes, that's when it gets like, I could be doing this thing so much better than if I was chopping up my time for these 5 things.
Yeah, there's levels to it. Yeah. But I will say, on the topic of like social media and YouTube, I feel like there's a shift that's going to happen. I don't know what it is. It's kind of happening right now. I feel like the YouTube content is very saturated.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
You're seeing it. So like, that's why I've really focused on the short form on TikTok. I got a good following there. But I think you're going to see a lot of like 3 to 5 minute videos on those platforms.
Sure.
Maybe 10.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it'll switch to that direction.
Yeah. Well, plus YouTube monetized shorts not too long ago. So, I mean, everything is kind of shifting that way.
Oh, 100%. And they know that. But, I mean, if you go into something, so like, let's just say I do this with YouTube. I post a lot and I quit for 6 months. I post a lot and then I quit.
Sure. Yeah.
I can keep posting a lot and I can grow it to 20, 30, 40,000 followers. But at the end of the day, that really ain't shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's learning how to separate yourself with the content to grow it to that 100, 200,000.
Yep.
Because that's where the needle moves.
Yeah.
And
that's when those followers start pouring in. That's when the money starts coming from monetization. And you went to school for marketing, like DVP, differentiating value proposition. It's how do I exist in this space and be just different enough where people are going to tune in consistently. It's not about a one-time deal. It's that sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? But anyway, like the people coming in consistently, not just once or twice. Like like Milliken puts out 4 videos a day. You know what I'm saying? Like how do you? Not really, but I mean he puts out a ton. He's putting out what, 2 videos a week, 3 a week? It's crazy.
Probably 3 a week. Yeah.
And that consistency, like it's the 2 C's: content, consistency. It's got to be good on both. And then,
well, you need to throw a Q in there for quality, and that's really the difference. But at the same time, I know there's some YouTubers out there making high quality content going nowhere.
Yeah, they're getting 2,000 views on it, and then you got those dudes making 2-hour-long videos with a chesty GoPro, and it's got 1 million views, and you're like, how the heck? Yeah.
Right. So it's really weird. So
it is weird.
With the quality, it has to be like quality and like so over the top that it's like, and with the editing and everything. So it's like you need to have like shitty footage or like really, really good footage.
Yep, that's exactly right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I found like my best stuff like takes off when I film with my damn phone.
Mm-hmm. And it's easier. It's
Yeah.
easier. It's so much
Yeah.
easier. Like I can't tell you how many videos we've made where like, you know, we had the drone and we had the Sony A7S III, which is what a lot of guys film with, 15 GoPro setup. And then we just never get around to it because it's like you got so much stuff to set up and you're trying to fish. Whereas the iPhone, you whip that thing out and it's got great 4K footage. You can drop it into your, you know, I use Mac stuff. You can drop it into Final Cut and edit real easy. And that's the thing. Yeah. Cause if you're going so professional with it, like I have a homie who, he's like created an empire for himself and for himself in Florida, doing YouTube. And he has like a racetrack that he owns now and all this stuff. And I remember talking to him about his videos once, and he was smart enough way back in the day to be like, I'm keeping my videos easy and simple so that when I go to edit them, it's not this like awful process. I know what I need to film. I know what I don't need to film. I'm going to do it on my phone. I'm going to make my edits take me like a half hour and I can be done, as opposed to these dudes who are using 10 cameras and it takes an hour and a half just to import the footage. That's not really sustainable for most people, you know?
No. I think the biggest factor, and this is really what I'm going to do different than everybody else, is the entertainment factor.
Sure. Yeah.
People, I know this is just me. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I feel like people are sick of, this is a jerkbait. This is how you work it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we were just saying at the beginning of this podcast.
Absolutely.
And that stuff's not bad, but it's, you can go to any YouTube channel, Wired to Fish, Tactical Bass, and whatever. And like, you can get that content. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to have somebody
again, how many followers does Tactical Bassin have now?
I don't know. It's a lot.
I'm going to look right now.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. It's more than a couple. What's homeboy's name? Nate, Matt
Allen.
Matt Allen, Tactical Bassin. Every single time.
Honestly, I don't think it's,
they're in their lane.
Honestly, I don't think it's a crazy number. I think it's somewhere around that 40 to 50,000 mark that you were talking about.
I thought it was a lot
more. No, it's more 626,000.
Holy hell!
Okay,
yeah, that's more than Milka Nilkinen. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, like, they own the space, but at the same time, look at their videos. Go back every year. I love them, but they got it mastered. They do the same videos every year, just a little different.
Correct. Yep. But that's the thing. If you try to do those videos in that space, you're white noise. You're not getting through to anything.
Yes. You got to do your thing, however you're going to do it, but also figure out how to make it successful. Because there's a lot of people who do their thing, but they don't adjust.
Yep.
Because your performance is going to show you.
Yep.
If people want to watch you. And if you're not getting watched, you need to change up what you're doing to make people want to watch.
Yeah, and on that tip too, man, is like people, I think it's because of social media. I've said this a lot. I don't think people in America are necessarily smarter than they've been, but they smell baloney from farther away. So like if you're faking the funk, if you're trying to be all like, hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jordan with Tackle and Taco. Like if you fake a personality, people can see right through that in a heartbeat. But if you're being true to yourself, being entertaining, being a little different, that's where like the secret sauce is. That's when you really get into something.
The key word is authenticity.
Yep. People can feel it, man. They can smell it. 100%. They can sense it. Yeah.
The other thing that gets a lot of views right now, unfortunately, is negativity. Yeah. And that's one thing that's with the Randy Blockets and all the other. I hate it. I can't stand.
Yeah, we've actually
ruining the sport, in my opinion.
We've brought up Blockit quite a bit on the show, not in a negative way, but in a like, dude, like you helped design the Megabass Vision 110. You've won a ton of tournaments. You have knowledge, like, but only thing people know you for right now is being this grumpy old dude who's anti-forward facing sonar, and that kind of sucks. I wouldn't want my legacy to be anti something. Oh, that's that guy who was anti whatever. That sucks. Like I don't want to be known for that.
Yeah, I mean, I got blocked from his page the other day. Anytime he posts something, he was like, "You'll never believe this is the worst thing that happened in bass fishing." I said, "Way to post the positive content, Randy." High five. And then he blocked me.
Give him a little baby high five, the little doll high five. Good job, Randy. Yeah, but it's funny too. It's like negativity mixed with clickbait. That's a terror. That's drinking and driving. That's a bad combo, dude.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's so much negativity in the world, man. You just need more positive. But the problem is, when you're positive, that's where you got to have the entertainment part with the positivity.
No doubt,
Jordan.
Because I'll post positive stuff all the time that people don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Unless it's like life changing, like I died and went to heaven, and then I have this story. You know, like, oh my god,
whoa, I'll listen to that. Yeah, for sure. But you know, you just got to keep with it. You got to find your track and stay on it, because I think I heard a story one time that a candle, if you light it in the dark, can be seen from something like 1.5 miles away. And if you had two candles next to each other and the one candle goes out, that candle has to keep on burning bright. You know what I'm saying? You can't
Mhm.
really affect the lack of somebody else's light to put your light out. And, you know, sometimes you just got to keep on burning, whether people are seeing it or not, whatever. And eventually, you know, eventually it'll catch. Because the thing is, too, is negativity is like catching in sort of an icky, toxic way. And,
100%.
after a while, people get fed up with it. You get that sort of like, bleh, you get that slime on you. Like when you catch a good pike and he's just sliming all over your hands, you got that smell on you, you get that negativity going, and people get sick of that crap after a while. And then they shake it off and tune in and go, oh, this guy's a little different, man. This dude's got some positivity going. Like I feel like Ike, again, to reference Ike, because he's probably my favorite Bass Pro. He's always walked the line of being really real, really honest. Nobody would say he's fake, but like he's not sitting there being super downtrodden, negative, icky. You know, like he's silly and he's funny and he's entertaining as hell. Yeah, I think that catches on.
Yeah, he's one of the first people to do it that in that way that we were talking about. But it's kind of that's the reason I don't like it. It all goes back to being positive and the attitude on the water, right?
Yeah, sure.
It overflows into every aspect of your life. And if I'll just encourage anyone watching this year, starting out in 2025, if you have any negative people around you, you just notice they're always negative, cut those people out of your life immediately,
man,
and watch your life get better.
Dang, that's a good. I think that's a strong ender. Maybe. What do you think, Nate?
That might be it. That was awesome, and
Yeah.
100% fact. Like I've told Jordan for years and years and years, like the more positive I not even just try to be, but just think, like just mentally, just think positively,
Yeah.
the better and more smoother my my life and everything flows. So
Yeah,
sure.
man. I mean, life's really hard. We're none of us are getting out alive.
yeah,
We're all gonna go through some really hard
That's
situations,
good. Yeah.
divorce, sicknesses, this
Yeah.
and that. Why flood it with we have to handle those, like Brent Chapman has cancer right now. Go follow his journey, support him, pray for him. He's one of the most positive people. He's posting about his journey. He has a great attitude. I would encourage everyone to be like that.
Yeah,
Heck
that's
yeah.
it, dude. And it is a choice. It is a choice. Both are catching. I think negativity catches on a little easier, and so all that means you got to push a little harder on the positivity, because it'll catch on as well.
Yeah, it's spiritual at the end of the day. I mean, I promise you.
Yeah. I like that advice about cutting off the negative people too. Like I'm not trying to get all preachy here, but there's a story in the Bible where God likens us humans as trees. You know how sometimes he has to come through if you have a limb that's infected or dead, he has to cut it off, and it hurts the tree for a second, but the tree grows better long term. And so sometimes in life we gotta have the balls to chop that one limb off, even if it's been there a long time. If it ain't producing fruit, if it's infected, if it's gross, it might hurt for a sec, but it's gonna be way better long term if you get rid of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to be preachy, man. People need to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my idea. God had it first, so I can't take credit for it. You know, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Anything else you want to say before we let you go, other than the fact that we are so humbled and stoked to have you on?
Man, thanks for having me on, guys. I'd love to check in through the year and let you know how I'm doing the opens and talk about it. And
we would love that.
Absolutely.
Man.
Heck yeah.
Y'all just keep Christ in Christmas and enjoy the holidays.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. All right, man. Thank you for coming on. We'll let you go. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right, brother. Bye bye. Hey, Gum, what a cool dude, yo.
Right, the man, Salzy, Ryan Salzman. That was awesome.
Yeah, what a cool cat. I mean, I feel like in life sometimes you run into conversations that you weren't expecting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we as humans, I shouldn't say me, Jordan, I'm very good at unintentionally shutting down these moments that I feel like were flopped in my path on purpose. Do you know what I'm saying? Somebody starts talking to you at the grocery store or, whatever. And you'd be like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, carrots are good or whatever. But maybe like something was supposed to happen there and we just kind of push it away or we expected something else. And tonight I was expecting to talk to Ryan Salzman, the bass angler, and talk to him about bass and talk to him about his boat and talk, whatever. And dude just dropping truth, just honest to goodness truth, strategic, encouraging, just some cool stuff. And I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah. It's it's all about the life lessons and how we handle them. He said that kind of from the beginning, the start of his, first story all the way to the end is you are going to be dealt these challenges throughout life, throughout everything, and how you jump over those hurdles or attack them is going to take you, where you want to go or where you need to be. know, just like you said, like, you know, certain things that happened to him throughout the year have put him on the path that he knew overall where he wanted to be. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it, you know.
yeah. He could have let it shut him down,
Oh
or he
yeah.
could have ignored it. Like he said, he really felt like God was
Yeah.
telling him, like, BPT ain't it for you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he kept on trying, and God was like, nope, nope, nope. You know, because
Yeah.
that's us. We're men. You know, we do that thing. Like there's that. I don't know if I've said it on the show, but there's this old ancient. That's immediately redundant. There's this ancient Chinese proverb where it's like it sounds stupid, but it's not. It's like a man walks down the street and he falls in a hole. The next day he walks down the street and he falls in the hole. The next day he he walks down the street and he falls in the hole. The next day he walks down the street and he goes around the hole, which is so simple, but like it's such a cool like archetype of life. Like we can either keep on falling in the same spots, or we can be like, oh, forgot there's that hole here. Let me walk around it this time. And
Yeah.
like he's got the balls. And I like the fact that he was like, I don't give a shit who it is I'm fishing against on the opens. You know, I'm just saying from the outside looking in, there's so many moving parts to a transition like this, because it's not like he's going from Bass Pro Tour, which is the big leagues. Every time I say that word, I think of Nacho Libre. Then we must go to the big leagues. This is the big leagues. The Bass Pro Tour is the top of the top. You know, when you're launching your boat next to Skeet Reese and Connell and Jacob Wheeler, this is the top of the top. And it's not like he's going from that immediately into the Elite Series. You know, he doesn't have the Legends exemption that like Jordan Lee used to get back on the BASS Elite Series. He's going to go from the BPT to the Opens, which no diss there. Those are pro anglers. They're sticks. They're hammers. They're incredible. And he's got to work his way through that 200 boat field, or whatever the number ends up being, into the elites. Like, that's incredible. That takes balls. That takes courage. I read a book once that the premise of it was courage is the greatest of all virtues. So like this idea that everything else, kindness and intellect and strategy and whatever else, none of those top courage, because without courage, you can't really use any of those other virtues, any of those other gifts. And this dude's obviously got courage, and he's actually putting it into practice. And I don't know. I have so much more respect for him now than I did before we had the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. You said it kind of midway through, and you were like, I don't know how to put this, but I respect your balls. And it was funny. It was funny, but it was 100% fact. Like, like having that courage to just go ahead and like, you know what, this is the moment. This is where things need to change, or this is where life needs to alter a little bit. And having that courage to notice that and take it and hit it head on, like that's huge. Absolutely huge.
Hold on, I have a book here from, let me look real quick, 1960. It's called Wildwood Wisdom. Basically, there's a whole bunch of stuff about like, so if you're on YouTube, you can see it. There's a bunch of like really strategic ways, like where if you're either lost in the wilderness or you're trying to survive in the wilderness, and like homestead, all these different things. One of the strangest scents in nature is beaver castrum, for it's fascinating not only to beaver folk, but seems to lure many other animals as well. Trappers use this, blah, 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 all these really specific whatever. And I think it's in this book, might be a different one I read, but it said something to the effect of when people are lost in the wilderness, the number one reason people die in the wilderness is out of shame. Which is a really weird thing to think about, right? But I think what it is when you're alone by yourself for a long time, you go back and you think about all the times you didn't have the balls to make a choice that you should have made. Do you know what I'm saying? And so people just hunker down and they shut down and they die. They starve to death when they could easily find water and follow the water flow, because, you know, 90% of humans set up shop, set up camps, set up towns next to water. You can use all these different survival tricks, tactics that they probably know, but instead, because of shame, because they didn't have the courage to do what they should have done in life, they sit down and they die. And it's the weirdest thing. But I just think somebody like Salzy having the ballsies to actually follow his dream when everything is sitting in front of him. Like he won a stop on the Bass Pro Tour. You know what I'm saying? His sponsors, his money, his flow, like his cash flow is there. And he's like, nope, I'm shifting gears here. And I can't overstate how much I respect that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well put with your fancy book, as you called it.
What do you call that thing with the binder and the pages and the letters on it? So look at this. Edible shoots and leaves. You can eat dandelion, chicory flower, milkweed shoots, burdock, chicory basil shoot, clover, mustard basil shoot. And then on the bottom, there's a picture of a mouse eating it.
Oh, it's got pictures and everything, illustrations in the book. I love it.
And it smells like an antique shop, which is pretty
It
rad.
smells old. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's
Heck
really
yeah.
neat. There's a way on here that if you kill something, how you can turn it into mittens, and I don't know. It's a really cool old book. But anyway, that was an awesome podcast. What a great way to set off 2025.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. Like I said, we kind of worked on this one for a while. I've been talking to Ryan for some months now.
It's been a while,
and, yeah. I'm so glad to get him on.
Yep.
Kind of like you said, I didn't see the podcast going the direction it went. I figured we talk a little bit more fishing and more, 2025 plans, and maybe throw some true bass swim baits in there, because I am enamored with how that whole thing started for him.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love the direction it went. Life and life lessons and directions and courage, and all the little things that
we
that
didn't
we hit on.
expect.
Like, exactly, yeah, it was awesome.
I'm putting if you're checking this out on YouTube, I'm putting another banner at the bottom real quick. So Ryan's website, alabamabassguide.com. You can follow him on Instagram at ALBASS guide. And then also check out trueswimbaits.com. That's how you find the true bass stuff. Trueswimbaits.com. I want to make sure and get a plug in there for that, because yeah, that's a cool story too. And how cool that he was like, yeah, man, you guys should definitely check back in with me during the opens and blah, blah, blah. Let's definitely have him back on.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm stoked. Yeah,
I think that's a journey worth following along with, worth watching. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else, Nate? Oh, sponsors. Yeah. We didn't hit sponsors.
That's it. Yeah, gotta thank the people that make this happen. Of course, our presenting sponsor, Grizzly Coolers, got rocking the hat. We got the drinkware, the coolers, of course, bags, carry-alls. They got it all.
Merch.
Grizzly. grizzlycoolers.com. What is the code WCB for 15% off?
Yep.
Which you getting some of those big items, those hard-sided coolers. That's a chunk of change off of there.
And it works. We asked him when we had Isaac on. It works for everything except for the hunting blinds. So even like the giant 465, 15%, that's a chunk.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of change off of there. So definitely use that code WCB at grizzlycoolers.com. Of course, Giltech Hook and Arrow Supply, all the great terminal tackle, jigs, swim jigs, all the awesome stuff he's doing with his swim baits, and the little innovations he's putting in those new swim baits and new products. Man, he takes his time before he releases anything. So
he may be
awesome.
doing something new in the spring that we can't really talk about yet, but I'm very excited.
You ain't even let me know about that. Come on now. Come on. Come on now.
I'll tell you after the show.
All right. Perfect. Of course, Loophole Optics and their performance eyewear.
The best.
We got new binoculars. We got the shades. Polarization is unreal.
It's incredible.
Yeah, straight up unreal. I was able to use their optics this the last day for my shotgun season, gun season here in Iowa, being able to see some deer kind of out in the woods a couple fields away. So
how good are those binoculars, Nate?
It's absolutely crazy.
It's stupid.
The low light.
That's what I said. It's crazy. Yeah. They're not like GoPros anymore. Like you can use them at low light and still see what you're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of getting to dusk point, right around end of shooting light, and I could see a few deer off in the distance with these binoculars that I couldn't see out of my scope. That unfortunately isn't Leopold yet, but we'll get there here real soon. Hopefully,
we'll work on that.
But just kind of inferior products, you can tell the difference really, really quick.
Away.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So stoked to be a part of them. So
a really quick story, Nate. So our middle boy, Vinny, he saved up some Christmas money and he wanted to buy a bait casting combo, and he was about to spend like $100. And I was like, dude, I love you so much. I totally just did a Donald Trump hand. Did you see that? It's gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best bait combo ever. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be a great one. We know those other ones are no good. It's fake bait cast. But I was just like real gentle with him, and I'm like, buddy, like let's save up for a little bit because like it's December here. You're not really gonna be using it right now anyway, and you will. And more than any other fishing thing, maybe. And that's a statement, but I think I might stand by it. You will get what you pay for with a bait cast combo with a bait cast reel, and you're going to end up just being annoyed and frustrated, and it's not going to work the way that mine work, and you're going to wonder why. It's because it's a $50 reel or whatever. I'm not that dude. I'm not the guy who's like, I want those shoes because they're more expensive at all. But on certain things, it is worth the investment you make because the return on like the quality is so much better. I never really even realized that until I got those loophole binoculars, and I was like, holy crap, because anybody who's hunted or just done anything, bird watching or whatever, with crappy binoculars knows that when the sun starts to go down, your binoculars just stay in the pouch because it ain't gonna work. You can't really see out of them. You get like that weird movement of like nothing because you can't see through them. And the loopholes don't do that. And what we talked about before, that focus range on the loopholes, like how far you can focus to like crank it down and focus. I mean, it's crazy. It's worth the money. So loophole.com, check those out. They're awesome. And hope everybody's having a great 25 so far. So much like what Salzy was talking about, man. I mean, I feel like this dude was like the poster child for it. But remember, fishing, family life, work, hunting, social media, business, I don't know. It's totally true. Positivity is worth the effort. And we will catch you on the next one.
That's it. Peace.